Atheist, what's up? I've titled this video Crushing Darwinism. Okay, I'm sure it's going to really create a lot of love out there, but nevertheless, okay, you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So anyway, here we go. Basically, this is kind of like a response to one particular person out there. But I don't want to say this person's name because they'll get all flustered and who knows what they'll do. Anyway, but it definitely answers many people, many atheists out there regarding your atheistic thought. I've written this thing up, and you know, it's just easier if I read it to you. Okay, this is basically regarding Darwin's theory of evolution. Okay. So I want to start with some basic knowledge that even a child can understand. Okay, well, before that, I mean, let's start with the fact that Darwin's theory has never been proven. Okay, and then we'll get on to the reasons why his theory fails. But the basic question is, if intelligent human beings can't create anything close to, say, the human brain, why do you expect me to believe that non-intelligent natural laws can do this? I can't even understand why you believe it. To me, it's absolutely ridiculous. But that's your issue, and that's your problem, and that's why I make these videos, okay? To make you think about what you're putting your faith and trust in, because it's very, very silly. Okay. Basically, because the essence of what we're talking about is getting from one cell to a human, right? Isn't that really the essence of what evolution is about, macroevolution? And all that the human entails. And I won't even discuss where the first cell came from, because most of you know how I feel about that. You don't even have an answer for that, but we won't even go there, okay? I'm talking about a good answer based on science, reason, observation, okay? You avoid all the empirical and forensic evidence, and you make up things like spontaneous generation or panspermia, Richard Dawkins' favorite hypothesis. Okay, it is a joke. Okay, it is a joke, and you people expect me to admire people for these kinds of fairy tales. And not only that, you want me to put my children in a classroom and let them be taught these things that they're fact. And that is the truth in America. It's being taught as fact. Okay, and that's my grudge with scientific thought. And I get scientific people commenting to me saying, we don't say that. Oh, we're always learning and growing, wanting more knowledge, and we know that our hypothesis isn't right. That's not true. You might think that. But you discover something, you know, it's got a pretty good, reasonable, chance that it could have happened, some things, and they're taught as fact. So it's not true, okay? Your hypotheses become fact. And many of them, including this Darwin, is false. All right? So let's get back to this the fairy tale book, the bedtime story, on the origin of species by means of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Favored races, huh? Can you say racist, class? Okay. That's what we got here. Macroevolution is primarily what we're talking about here. This is such a fairy tale that Disney should make a movie about it, but they can't because it would embarrass the educational system and cause everyone to think about the creator that they're accountable to. So we're not going to see it in our lifetime. Macroevolution has never been observed to create new types of species. If it has, please comment, send something to me. Or in other words, they never evolve into another organism. Never have, and they never will. Yes, the fittest survive. There's nothing new to this theory. By the way, natural selection is a misnomer. If you think about it, evolution by definition is without intelligence, so selection has nothing to do with it. These things are just happening by chance. Okay, another stretch to your imagination. Berkeley law professor Philip Johnson, quote, none of the proofs for natural selection provides any persuasive reason for believing that natural selection can produce new species, new organs, or other major changes, or even minor changes that are permanent. Biologist Jonathan Wells, quote, "Biochemical mutations cannot explain the large-scale changes in organism that we see in the history of life." Okay, so I've got this reasoning that I'm going to go through point by point now that proves that Darwin's evolution, okay, specifically related to his book, cannot be true. The number one is genetic limits. Okay, basically, this means nothing new can come from within a creature genetically. This has never been observed, whether in dog breeders trying to create a new dog or intelligent scientists trying to manipulate a fruit fly. Nothing new ever appears, except crippled mutations. So if intelligence can't do what you say non-intelligence has done, how do you expect me to believe this? Okay. Number two, not only are there genetic limits that prevent macroevolution, but the certain changes within a species tend to go back and forth within a limited range. For example, Darwin's finches. This is called cyclical changes. They simply adapt to their circumstances. There were no new life forms created. Only the beak changed. Still, natural selection may be able to explain the survival of the finch, but now not how it got here. Just the survival of the finch. You understand? And not a new finch. Not a different species, I should say. Irreducible complexity. Okay? This is a quote from Charles Darwin. "If it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not have possibly been formed by numerous successive slight modifications, my theory would be absolutely break down. We now know there are many that fit this description, namely the cell. By definition, irreducible complex systems are composed of several well-matched interacting parts that contribute to the basic function, wherein the removal of any of these parts cause the system to effectively cease functioning." How did this happen over billions of years then? Right? This basically means that each part of the molecular machine must be completely formed in the right places, in the right sizes, in operating order at the same time for the machine to function. This happened by chance? I doubt it. I doubt it. Don't you see how absurd it is? Especially when you observe all of God's creation. It is ordered. It is beautiful. It screams intelligence and intelligent design, wonder, awe. It doesn't say chance. Do you go out? Do you go to to the mountains or something, or out fishing or wherever you might happen to be out in God's great outdoors and say, "I can't believe this all just came to be. This is absolutely amazing. I can't believe it. What a chance." That alone is ridiculous in and of itself, isn't it? So, I have answers to Miller's argument and scaffolding, so you can save your breath. You can write those if you want, but it's already been disproven. Number 4, non-viability of transitional forms. Transitional forms could not survive. Okay? That makes sense, doesn't it? Can a fish be on water and have legs? How is that transition going to survive? And that's just one out of the 1.4 million species, okay? So I don't think I can go further on that. Molecular isolation. Similar DNA does not imply ancestral relations. Rather, it implies a common creator. Okay, here's something else to think about. The stainless steel teapot or the teaspoon, does that evolve to a stainless steel pot? Okay, I don't think so. Even though it's the same type of instrument, it holds something. While some studies show that the DNA is similar between ape and human, some studies show the exact similarity between a mouse and a human. I got a little cross-reference. Initial sequencing and comparative analysis of the mouse genome from 12502. If mice are genetically as close to humans as apes, what does that say for you? Are you a descendant of a mouse or an ape? You decide. Also, if all species share a common ancestor, we would expect to find protein sequences that are transitional from a fish to amphibian, from reptile to mammal. Instead, we find that these basic types are molecularly isolated from one another. So even though we may share a common genetic code with different degrees of closeness, that code has the amino acids and proteins in such a way that basic types are in molecular isolation from one another. There are no Darwinian transitions, only distinct molecular gaps. I'm winding down here. I think I'm going to go to part 2.